His rally in Las Vegas yesterday, Donald Trump once again suggested he would pardon the January 6th insurrectionists in a second term, whom he called hostages and victims and warriors. He also accused the Capitol Police, who were brutalized during the attack, of setting up the rioters to be arrested.
We're going to do a lot of things. We're going to look very strongly at J6. Those people, there has never been people treated more horrifically than J6 hostages. Those J6 warriors, they were warriors, but they were really more than anything else. They're victims of what happened. All they were doing is protesting a rigged election. That's what they were doing. And then the police say, go in, go in, go in. Go on in, everybody, go on in. What a setup that was. What a horrible, horrible thing.
As for what actually happened on January 6th, unaired footage we just obtained from congressional sources shows top Democratic lawmakers questioning the whereabouts of the National Guard during the January 6th Capitol attack. As the Capitol was being overrun, then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi grilled her chief of staff about the situation as they were evacuated for their safety. Take a look.
You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to be?
The footage also shows Pelosi and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer at Fort McNair speaking on the phone with then Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy and later Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser about the status of their request for help from the National Guard.
Secretary McCarthy and Senator Schumer, we're at Fort McNair. Do you know what's going on? Well, D.C. has requested the National Guard, and it's been denied by DOD. I'd like to know a good goddamn reason why it's been denied. We need them fast. We've all had to, I've never seen anything like this. We're like a third world country here. We had to run and evacuate the Capitol. They have not denied it. I spoke to the Secretary of the Army. He's given the full okay to give the National Guard. He said it was not denied. I'm going to call up the effing Secretary of DOD.
We have had some mixed messages about national response of your request or our request as well for the National Guard to move in.
Okay, if I could, Madam Speaker, let me just give you a rundown. Your chief, the United States Capitol Police, sent a request for National Guard support probably more than an hour ago. I thought there was some resistance from the Secretary of the Army folks to deploy uniformed guard personnel on the ground of the Capitol.
It took more than 3 hours, 3 hours for the National Guard to arrive to that chaotic scene, to that riot, to the attack on the Capitol. According to Politico, 4 former members of the Guard described a frustrating experience of being prevented for hours from being able to respond, and recounted senior Army officials expressing concern about the optics of deploying the Guard. But they saved their fiercest criticism for McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, who they described as, for the Army, a totally different McCarthy, I apologize, the person that they were trying to reach there on the phone, who they described as unresponsive to their outreach in the midst of the chaos. Republicans have spent years accusing Pelosi of neglecting her duty to defend the Capitol, despite evidence that it was a shared responsibility among congressional leaders who in turn relied on the assessments of police and security officials. But as Politico reports, the new footage does not bolster GOP claims of Pelosi being at fault. Instead, it largely aligns with and adds depth to previous snippets of Alexandra Pelosi's footage released by the January 6th Select Committee and in an HBO documentary that was released in 2022. The unaired footage also shows Democratic leaders demanding that then President Donald Trump tell his supporters to leave the Capitol on January 6th. Here is Pelosi and Schumer speaking by phone with then Acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen.
Why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General, in your law enforcement responsibility? A public statement, they should all leave. He is saying, his tweet said, we are for peace.
No, law and order.
Law and order.
Yeah.
Why don't you get him to make that statement? Would you do that? Will you ask the president to make a statement to ask them to leave the Capitol?
As you might guess, we're coordinating as quickly and as...
No. Please answer my question. Answer my question.
Senator, I'm going to do everything I can do.
Does that include asking the president to get these people who are followers of hers to leave the Capitol?
Joining the conversation, we have the host of the podcast On Brand with Donny Deutsch. Donny Deutsch, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, retired four-star Navy Admiral James Stavridis. He is Chief International Analyst for NBC News and staff writer at The Atlantic and Applebaum. What a great panel. Hardly know where to start here. There are so many great voices. I do want to back up and just rephrase what I said because I mentioned the wrong McCarthy. According to Politico, 4 former members of the Guard described a frustrating experience of being prevented for hours from being able to respond to the attacks on the Capitol, and recounted senior Army officials expressing concerns about the optics of deploying the Guard. And they saved their fiercest criticism for McCarthy, who they described as unresponsive to their outreach in the midst of the chaos. That's Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy. And not having the National Guard respond. I mean, in so many ways, I think I need to start with Anne Applebaum and go backwards. But Anne, what does this say to you when you see these details and this friction at all levels in terms of how to respond to this, and lives hanging in the balance as it appears that they don't want to actually stop the chaos that's from the president on down?
I have to tell you, my first reaction is to ask why we didn't talk about this 3.5 years ago, why it's taken so long for all of our courts really to come to terms with what happened on January the 6th, and why we haven't, as a society, dealt with it yet. I mean, some of these details are new and some of them are more shocking and they come in a slightly different version. But actually, we've known this story for a long time and we haven't acted. And I think that's, that's a part of the explanation for why the perpetrators are getting away with it.
Mr. Admiral Stavridis, let's talk about chain of command and other issues here. I mean, this was clearly botched on just about every level that day. We saw it in real time that the National Guard needed to be there and wasn't. As someone who's worked in the Pentagon for so long, what happened?
First, you kind of have to see what happens on the Capitol that day through the filter of Lafayette Park, previous protests.
Yeah.
The Pentagon did not take the lessons learned that they should have out of that series of events. Point two, I just want to draw a line under how every active duty, reserve, Guard, retired like me, veterans, all of us watched the Capitol that day and felt we needed to be there. We needed to be there. Yeah. And that is the ultimate responsibility of the military, is to back up law enforcement when it simply becomes overwhelmed, as it did here. And finally, in terms of the chain of command that day and the exact sequence of events, to me, this entire episode screams for a 9/11 level commission, where we pull it apart, read every statement made by every leader, put it all back together again, and draw the lessons. And the correct lessons, pretty obviously, are not that these people were hostages. Look, I know what a hostage looks like. I've tried to rescue them over the years in the military. These are hardly hostages. They're clearly rioters, criminals, many of them now convicted felons. We need to reverse engineer this and understand how it got so far out of hand. That work has yet to be done.